Good morning, brother.
Good morning, Al. How you doing?
Great, how are you?
Good.
This thing is spinning on me.
Oh no, not spitting on you.
Dang it. Anything but that. Well, sweet. Welcome, everyone, back to another episode of Siblings in Crime. I'm Allie Rossell,
And I'm Blake Murphy.
and just as it sounds, we're siblings who love true crime. So here we are, once again, another episode. This one does not have a beautiful bow in the end. It's kind of going to be up to speculation on what you think happened.
Yep.
And so before we jump into it, what was your week like?
Good week. Bought a house.
Wait, another? Or is it the same house you talked about last week?
Another house.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, on a roll.
What the?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what are you, same thing? You're doing the same idea?
We're probably gonna flip this one. So we'll see.
How do you decide?
Um,
Just like the area?
yeah. Basically.
Wow, sweet. Congrats. I didn't know
Thanks.
you were doing that.
Yeah. On to the next one.
Wow, you're building an empire. Okay. We were just watching Gladiator, so I'm thinking about that stuff. Anywho, I had a good week, if you're wondering.
I wasn't. Let's
Okay.
move on.
You're a jerk.
How was your week?
It was a pretty good week. I
Nice.
got back from Utah Saturday and worked yesterday. We'll see if I work today. But yeah, things have been good. Nothing really crazy. Still running.
You finished your plans for your house, right?
We did. We're building in Utah and we just finished up, sent off to the engineer. So we're on to the next step. So
Nice.
hopefully we'll be building in spring. Got to wait for it to get the ground to soften up a little bit, I guess. And so
That's crazy.
I know. So but exciting things. I'm quilting again. So
Cool.
27-year-old grandma. We have so much fun.
That's funny.
You're staring off in the distance again.
I'm thinking
About? I don't think you're
about.
thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking about building and stuff, like you were just talking about.
Okay, well, why don't we jump into case? Do you have anything else?
No, let's rock and roll.
All right, so let me give you a little brief into what we're talking today. Buffalo Jim Barrier. What a man. You've heard his name, I believe.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I hadn't, but I guess he was like the talk of the town back in the day. So he was a larger-than-life man who thrived in the neon glow of Las Vegas, where he built his name as a wrestling promoter, businessman, and an auto shop owner. He was a loud, fearless, and unapologetic man, and that made him both beloved and controversial. And his shop, Buffalo Jim's Allstate Auto and Marine, sat next to Crazy Horse 2, a gentleman's club allegedly run by men with ties to organized crime. They wanted his land, but Buffalo Jim wouldn't budge, and he had fought his way to success, and he was not about to back down. His resistance sparked a long-standing feud, one that came with threats and intimidation and a constant battle to hold his ground. So, on April 6, 2008, the local celebrity was found dead in Motel 6. The official report being a drug overdose, but for his family, the pieces didn't fit. The evidence was strange. The lack of investigation seemed intentional, and just the circumstances felt too convenient. Had Buffalo Jim fallen victim to his own old addiction, or had the mob finally silenced him, wrapping it up as an accident? His story remains one of the Las Vegas great mysteries, one filled with ambition, defiance, and an ending that may never have a clear answer. So we can only speculate, but I'll give you all the information. You can decide what you think happened to the beloved Buffalo Jim.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's roll. All right, Jim was born in March of 1953, and he had like the complete look. He had long hair, his big beard, he was a big dude, and he would often wear like a bulletproof vest that was made of bullets. Like, what a beast. Yeah, it was like, I guess not bulletproof. It was like a vest, and it had like all these bullets lined up.
Oh.
I'll add a picture of it.
So it's not bulletproof.
Yeah, his daughter called it bulletproof bullet vest, but I don't think it would be bulletproof.
Oh, okay.
Unless it was laid on top of a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
But he seemed like he had such a fun personality. And like I said, they called him Buffalo Jim. It's such a random side note. Do you want to know why they called him Buffalo Jim?
Yeah.
I guess him and his buddy were at a casino one time. I thought that was so funny. They ran into this drunk guy, and he starts talking to them, and he goes, "You know what? I had sex with a buffalo once. You might just be my son." And that's literally, and so everyone thought it was so funny that they started calling him Buffalo Jim, and it just stuck.
That's random.
And that's so random, but I was like,
Yeah.
it's like he sparks up a conversation with some random dude, and so
Yeah.
he must just be like this like gnarly man looking guy, but he seems like he was like also a teddy bear. He had 4 daughters, loved them so much.
Girl dad.
Girl dad, and he like lived up to the name where he kind of had to put his past behind in order to be the dad they needed. Mm-hmm. But he was often featured in newspapers and even had his own public access TV show sometimes where he would like promote local wrestling. Mm-hmm. And because of like his electric style and his like personality, he became friends with like the most random, well I guess maybe not random because he's in wrestling, but Hulk Hogan. Hilarious.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I have to say. The Undertaker, Muhammad Ali even, and The Rock were some of his friends that, he would meet. And they would just, like, live this Vegas lifestyle of, like, partying and fun. And so he seemed like a crazy guy. That everyone he met wanted to be his friend. He had a rough time starting out, though, considering he dropped out of school after 5th grade, which seemed like really early to me. I feel like you rarely hear that.
Yeah.
But because he dropped out, he wanted to learn everything he could about cars. And so he immediately went into working and repairing. He would sleep at garages, gas stations, wherever he was working. And he made it his life. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So you know that he knows what he's doing if he's like living at a garage. You can trust him.
Yeah. It started in 5th grade.
Yeah, he's been doing it his entire life. Yeah, he's like he has 20 years of experience and he's 25 type of guy. And so he became incredibly skilled. And so when he had the opportunity to open his own auto repair shop, he was actually attracting like celebrities. People would come from out of town to come and get their car fixed with Buffalo Jim because of his reputation, his personality, and of course, like his incredible skills. So Buffalo Jim's shop was located next to Crazy Horse 2, like I said, a notorious Las Vegas strip club owned by Rick Rizzolo. That sounds like the mafia to me.
Yeah.
I was like, Rick Rizzolo? That sounds sketchy. But he was a businessman who was allegedly tied to organized crime. And the two men became, like, enemies right off the bat after Buffalo refused to sell his property to Rizzolo, who wanted to expand his club. I mean, he figured more space, more money. But I guess I don't really know how this works, but Jim, I guess, had a 20-year lease into his shop. I didn't even know they made those long of leases, but and so he was only 11 years in, and I guess he wasn't opposed to selling it, but it was worth like millions of dollars, and Rizzolo was gonna like way undercut that, and so he's like, it's not worth it. I'm not going anywhere, and so now they have this feud going on. For years, Buffalo Jim claimed that Rizzolo and his associates harassed and threatened him, and with an effort to drive him out. These threats included, but definitely not limited to, they were damaging his customers' cars, which obviously no customer's gonna go if like they pick it up and it's has to go to a different repair shop.
And then it costs you more money, so it's like
so you're spending more money trying to fix his car,
and then they broke it a different way, not to fix it again, and you're not gonna have to pay for that one.
Exactly. So he's messing up the customers' cars. This is such a unique thing. They were calling his like company landline over and over and over, so he couldn't get business.
Yeah, that's wild.
I'm like, that's like so smart in a horrible way.
Yeah.
And so they were like limiting his ability to even get customers. And of all things, they kept, I don't know how, but it kept breaking his AC unit.
Oh, jeez.
And so I was like,
that sucks in Vegas.
Exactly.
Because then your customers don't want to sit around.
And workers. I'm like, if you're working there, it's super hot. You don't have AC. And so they're making his environment miserable.
And pay to fix it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then
I'm going to look them up while you're talking more.
Rick Rizzolo?
No. Buffalo Jim.
Yeah. And so this obviously became a huge issue. It was going to be costing Buffalo Jim a lot of money out of pocket to fix all these issues. And so Buffalo Jim decided to kind of start calling Rizzolo out for his alleged mob connections and illegal activities. In fact, for the 2 years leading up to his passing, Jim was feeding the feds with incriminating information. Yeah, that guy's a freaking beast. A top hat. What's on his hat? I can't even tell.
I don't know.
It looks like feathers.
Yeah.
he looks so fun. That's awesome. There's a bunch of fun pictures of him, and he has like a commercial. Yeah, see, that's the bullet vest.
Oh, I see. That's funny.
Yeah, and there's like videos of him too because he had a commercial and whatever, and so we'll post all that stuff because he deserves all the highlights. But like I said, so he was like standing his ground. I'd be like, you can have whatever you want. I'm so scared. But he was not okay with that. And so he started kind of feeding the feds with some information that he was hearing from the crazy horse too.
Oh.
Yeah. And so obviously that didn't make their relationship any better.
Yeah.
But,
it's probably the smart way to do it. Like,
yeah.
oh, I'm not doing anything.
Yes. I'm twiddling your thumbs. Like, what did you hear? Yeah, and so the threats would like continue to escalate when allegedly Jim got a letter from a cop warning him that he had intercepted cell phone calls, knows where he lives, and is going to threaten his family. So was he a cop? Was he not a cop? Seems weird. It was like anonymous. But he's saying like he's gonna come.
Who?
This so-called cop is the one that intercepted and knows where Jim lives. He's gonna threaten his family.
So the cop is gonna come?
Yeah. So you think like
why would the cop do that?
I don't think it's a cop.
Probably working for the mafia?
Yeah.
Or just pretending to work.
Yeah, it very well
to be a cop?
might not be a cop.
Yeah.
But if it is a cop,
Rick Rizzolo?
I don't know why you would say I'm a cop.
What's the guy's name again?
Yeah, Rick Rizzolo.
Rizzolo?
Yeah.
To
But
be a cop?
that's the thing is, especially
In
back
Vegas.
then, everyone's getting paid off, I'm sure.
Especially in Vegas.
Right. And so around this time is when Jim's wife decided it wasn't safe and took their 4 daughters to Seattle for safety. So Jim's still in Vegas. They kind of separate. It doesn't seem like it was that much of like a hard feelings situation. Mm-hmm. However, now Jim's by himself temporarily. Later, his youngest and his oldest actually come back to Vegas. Mm-hmm. But for their safety, they're like, you're getting too many death threats all of a sudden. Yeah. We got to get out of here. So not only was there evidence that these guys at the Crazy Horse 2 club was threatening him, but they were becoming increasingly violent, even their customers. It's like bouncers, security guards, like obviously they're supposed to guard, but these guys were known to like actively just beat people up. Like,
in the club?
In the club. Yeah. And so that does not seem like the right way to bodyguard. But between the 90s and early 2000s, the cops were called over 700 times for violence.
Jeez.
Not an insane amount.
Yeah, that's like every week or more.
Yeah. So, rumor has it, like you were saying, that these cops are probably getting paid out, or there were rumors that they were getting like free treatments at the club, and in order to keep quiet. So, who knows what the actual numbers are? Who knows like what actually is going on? But there's kind of a side story that I thought potentially was relevant, but I guess. In 1995, there was a man that was beaten behind the club to death.
Oh,
and yeah, and the 2 bouncers that were working that night also went to the hospital with broken fist. And no one ever was charged. No one ever connected it. I'm sure everyone's like, this is obvious.
Yeah, like we just don't want to get in trouble with the mafia. We'll just
everyone just looked away.
Pretend that didn't happen.
That's crazy how powerful the mafia is.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you didn't see anything. They're like, you're right. Like, that is so crazy. And so this man... Allegedly. Yeah, this man, literally it was found behind. They're like, oh, no, it's not the club. Move on. Mm-hmm. So we know that they were really picking up that violence. And in 1999, Rick Rizzolo confessed to beating a customer with a baseball bat, leaving him with permanent brain damage up until when that customer passed away just a couple days later. So
wait, so he confessed to one?
He did.
Actually got him in trouble?
Yeah. Well, trouble's a different thing. He confessed to it, but Rick served no jail time, saying it was self-defense. However, he had a baseball bat, and this other guy was unarmed. So self-defense seems like a pretty crazy string to pull, and he never went to jail for it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I'm guessing
the guy probably just not leave the club or something?
Who knows what? Well, I guess what was really happening pretty often at this time is like they were just robbing their...
Oh, robbing.
Basically.
Like...
Robbing.
No, I think I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Like they just be like... It's
spend, $400 now.
Yeah, just like, oh, we have your in order to leave, it's going to be twice as much.
Yep. So I don't know why anyone would go there, because they know they come back like planning on spending $30
They have the
and
best
lose.
girls.
Evidently, goodness gracious. But that's the thing. So I guess they would be like if somebody wanted some services, they'll tell them it's like $100, and then it'd be like 5 minutes extra. Like, oh, that 5 minutes extra, actually put on an extra $500. You owe me $600.
Yeah.
And they're like, you didn't tell me that, and they would just charge up all their customers.
Yeah.
And of course,
there probably weren't credit cards back in the day.
Yeah.
Just go to the ATM.
Yeah, give me money. Yeah, or
If
we're
you don't
gonna
go to
beat
the ATM,
you.
We're gonna beat you.
Yeah,
up
exactly. So
with a baseball bat.
They didn't have credit cards in the 50s? I wouldn't know.
No.
Oh, I didn't know that was that recent.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, so they would like threaten people aggressively, steal more money from them, and if you don't comply, then you just get destroyed.
Yeah.
Find out when credit cards started.
I know it's way past the 50s.
I imagine. I just don't know when it would be. I didn't think 50s doesn't sound that long ago, but evidently it is.
That means Grammy was and Dad as a baby was using credit cards.
Okay, that really puts things in perspective. But still.
Oh, frick.
When was it, sucker?
The first modern credit card was invented in 1950.
Exactly this time frame. I mean, these are probably some rich people. They probably had a credit card. It wasn't like the normal. That's hilarious. You give me all this crap. That's like how, okay, side note, I can't get any lyrics right ever. The other day was my first time in my entire life. I got the lyrics right, like got it wrong, and it felt so good. It felt so good.
All right, let's keep moving on.
All right, so like we said, they're just Rick robbing their customers blind. If they don't comply, they're getting beat up. Because of this, in 2006, Rizzolo pleaded guilty to tax evasion as well, and he was actually sentenced to a year and 1 day in prison. So he murdered a man. His club is murdering people, and he did get in jail for 1 year and 1 day on tax evasion.
Oh, nice.
So he's behind bars for a little while.
That's how they had to get him back in the day. Tax
Yeah,
evasion
like this is gonna work.
Like
True. So like, meanwhile, Buffalo Jim probably like ecstatic. He's like, "Oh, finally, this guy's gone for a year. I can actually build my clientele again. No one's gonna get hurt."
Yeah. Was business kind of probably struggling then because of all the stuff going on?
Exactly. No one's gonna want to bring their car.
I feel like I'd want to move. I'm like, all right, I'll just sell it to you for less than it's worth, just to get away from you and build my clients back up.
I know, that's the thing. That's what I think. That must be his personality.
Yeah.
He's like, absolutely not. Am I gonna have to conform to the mafia like everybody else?
Yeah.
Especially because he's a tough dude. He probably figured he could handle it on his own.
Yeah.
But during while
am I not a tough dude?
You're okay. Just kidding. You're a smart guy. You would leave. I would hope you would leave. But while Rick was in jail, Jim was still like receiving death threats, and things weren't much better. Like Rick had people working for him. People want to make
cronies.
Yeah, cronies.
I don't know.
I've never heard that term.
Somewhere.
That's funny. Yeah. So I mean, these people want to like make Rick proud, kind of like little pansies.
Yeah.
And so life wasn't all that much easier for Jim during this time. And it made Buffalo Jim's family very nervous. What?
I'm just kidding.
What did you say?
I said allegedly.
Allegedly, right. And so this was when his 15-year-old, his youngest, which is actually so cute. People would call her Little Buffalo.
Oh.
I know. I guess she was the one that was like always at the events with him and like was like kind of always with him. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, Little Buffalo. And then the oldest, she was 20, also came and moved back to Vegas. And so they were worried because they were seeing these threats. And they were told from their dad that if the mob ever went through with a hit, they would make it look like a drug overdose. Mm-hmm. How scary for a 15-year-old to be like, hey, if the mob gets me.
Yeah.
Like, just a heads up. So he's like warning them. So they're nervous. And so on April 5th, when Buffalo Jim placed a $100 bet with his daughter that he'd be home before midnight, which I guess that must have been a regular thing. He wasn't getting home before midnight because he was like, I swear I'm going to be home. So they bet $100 on it for fun. And when he failed to ever come home, that warning her dad told her started to send off alarms for Little Buffalo. So now we're on April 6th, 2008. Buffalo Jim was found dead in a Motel 6 room in Las Vegas. The official cause of death was ruled as a heart attack, but many, especially his family, found the circumstances suspicious. But in order to understand why, let me shine some light on all the details and you can decide what you think. Mm-hmm. On the night of his death, James Buffalo Jim Barrier was accompanied by an unidentified woman in his Motel 6 room. Evidently, this woman said that she knew a man who wanted to sell a motorcycle or something. They met up at a gas station.
Wait, wanted to what?
Sell a motorcycle
So
to Jim.
To Jim.
Yeah.
Not Jim sell it to him.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He sold to her. So they meet at a gas station. There's like surveillance of them in the gas station. And one thing led to another. They're at a Motel 6. Mm-hmm. And there's also so much confusion leading up to us on why he would go, because his family's like, he would never go to Motel 6. He drives a Rolls Royce and he's like living the lavish life. They're like, there's no way that's where he's gonna roll up. Whoa, my voice went away. Yeah. So yeah, there he was found alone, except for the brief company of a woman described as a stripper or escort. So there's a couple weird things that happened here. First of all, despite suspicious details that we will highlight, authorities quickly ruled the death as natural, closing the case with little further inquiry.
Natural or overdose?
Well, they said it was a heart attack from some drugs. Right. So so it was like an overdose accident, natural causes. I don't know how they specified it in the reports, but they said it was natural considering it was a heart attack. Oh. No extensive investigation was conducted and no foul play was officially considered. But the very limited investigation we do have, they did find footage of Buffalo Jim when he was checking into the hotel. The woman was like kind of behind the glass on the other side, outside, whatever. And what was weird is, so he was checking into his room 8 minutes prior to him checking into this hotel room or motel room. A guest key pass unlocked his door. So they have records of all the different keys that can be used. They have guests, they have cleaners, they have mechanical, whatever. They have all these different types of key cards to access rooms. And 8 minutes before Jim even checked into his room, a guest key pass was used to open the door.
Rick Rizzolo.
So that seems suspicious with someone there. Allegedly. We don't know. Then it also brings the question, like, could the hotel have been involved if this was a stage setup? Because what are the chances is that, like, somebody walks in his room, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to set you up in the same exact room that somebody just walked into. Yeah. So, but the hotel, like, workers never got questioned.
Yeah. Or the girl was like, oh, yeah, I already have a room for us. Just go get another key.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I couldn't see if they're like the hotel people will never investigate. So I don't know if like the room was already an option. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if they already
everyone
got
was in it.
That's what it seems. I mean, how easy would it be to pay off? Probably for the mafia, anyone in the world, first of all. But the mafia, wow, I'm going crazy. How easy would it be for mafia to pay off anybody? But a Motel 6, like, seems very like.
Yeah.
And everyone says it's like a pretty sketchy area, but like it seems like it'd be fine if they want to pay him off. So this woman's sketchy, hotel's acting weird. Regardless, there was a key check 8 minutes prior. We know that for sure.
Yeah.
Who it was, we don't know. The woman Buffalo Jim had with him was vaguely seen in the background, like I said, but should be later identified, but there's not much on her at all. It hasn't been disclosed really. But investigators did question her once, and her story seems questionable. She later claimed that she and Jim were in the middle of some sexual fantasy stuff when he seemed to be suffering from a seizure. She offered him water and claims he grabbed his chest and seemed to convulse. Instead of calling for help, she simply just got out of there. Some believe she may have been part of the setup, used to lure him into a controlled environment where an ambush could take place. Others wonder if she was simply a bystander and scared, unsure what to do, and just got out of there. But one thing was certain, her presence did add like another layer of like suspicion who this person was. She was only questioned once. Her story seems weird. Why would you just leave? Some convulsing is like pretty dramatic. You think that your natural response would be, we need to call for help. Her story doesn't really line up all that well. But when authorities arrived at the scene, they found Buffalo Jim laying in bed, dead. He was laying face up on the bed with his shirt open. He had a pillow behind his head. His pants were down around his ankles, and his shoes were next to the bed. An empty prescription bottle of Valium was on the nightstand. The bed was still neatly made, and he was found with like white powder around his nose and beard. But they didn't test the powder. And so they didn't test the powder. They didn't secure the potential crime scene. And they notified the family that day and just told them to come in and identify him at the motel. I'm not sure if I've heard of really any cases that the family identifies them at the scene.
Yeah, that's weird. And it's weird. It seems like they were just like wanted to chalk it up to drug overdose and move on rather than actually investigate anything.
Yeah, and I feel like it seems pretty standard protocol for everyone to treat it as a crime scene until like proven otherwise.
Yeah.
Like
normally, it's when it's not like that, it's a problem and goes cold because they miss out on a bunch of stuff. And
then you have people talking about detectives 40 years later being like, if they would have saved the pillowcase, you know. And so like it should be regular protocol. For whatever reason, they just cleaned it all up, got the family over there. And so Little Buffalo is the one that got the call. And
she's still 15.
She's 15.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and they asked if there was like an adult, and so that's when she hands the phone off to her older sister, who's 20 at the time. And so they're like, you need to come identify. How horrible.
Yeah.
And so they head over to the motel, and one thing they said they noticed is they don't see his white Rolls Royce anywhere in the parking lot, which I feel like that would stand out in a Motel 6 little parking lot.
Yeah.
They get to the hotel where they're able to go and identify, and he was like already on the gurney, and everything was already like picked up really. It breaks my heart thinking about that. I can't think about it, but they were given Jim's possessions at this time, which included 2 phones, a wallet, keys, and maybe a garage door opener, depending on what source you use, which I find that so weird. I don't know anyone that carries a garage door opener on their body. It's like on their visor.
Yeah, maybe it's a thing back in the day.
Yeah, maybe that was like the cool thing, like on your like belt loop or something.
Yeah.
So they have all these possessions. They find it weird that they're given everything because they find it suspicious. And on top of that, they're like, okay, we have the garage door, we have a key opener, we have all this stuff, but there's no car. Like, how did he get here? So when the girls are leaving, they actually drove around a bit looking for a vehicle, and they could not find it. They went around the motel. Like, they're actively searching. It's like 10 a.m. or something, like, and they don't see it. So they were shocked, obviously, and you'd think they'd be able to, like, not miss that. But the plot thickens when the next day comes around, and cops like, oh, we found the car. It's on the backside of the motel.
No, it wasn't.
The girls are like, we checked there. It was not there.
Yeah.
And the investigators like, no, it's there. They take it in. They process it.
I went and cleaned it all.
There's no fingerprints. There's literally 0 things in there. Spotless. Yeah. I was like, no car is spotless on the inside of fingerprints in anything. Like, it's going to have gems at minimum. Nothing was in the car. And the car is all of a sudden there. So the family is like, this is weird. Then they get back the toxicology report. There was traces found in Jim's system. And the revelation...
Traces of what?
Cocaine.
And
like they were shocked. I guess Jim did have a past with cocaine back in his party days. But I guess once he had his girls, he's been clean since. And his doctor actually was stated that this is like the healthiest his heart has ever been recently. He's been like on a health kick. He's really trying to get better. And he hasn't touched drugs in a long time, at least cocaine. And so they're like, there's no way he would all of a sudden do cocaine with this random chick in a hotel room. There was no evidence anywhere in the hotel room that there was drugs there. And so unless the woman left with something, it's not like you're carrying cocaine in your pocket, you know, or whatever. And
yeah,
so,
you probably are.
I mean, without a bag, without a container, like you're just holding it in your hand. Like there was no evidence that they brought it in some sort of container. So nothing at the crime scene indicated that they had been doing this recreationally. So it seemed very suspicious that he had trace amounts in him, enough to cause a heart attack when its heart has been the strongest it's been, and there was no evidence at the scene.
Yeah.
And on top of all of that, Jim's like, if they're going to hit me, they're going to hit me with a fake overdose.
Yeah.
So things seem to be lining up with what Jim expected to happen, but with the lack of investigation, they didn't get all that much information. What was interesting that they did find in the hotel room, though, was a particular detail near Jim's body. It was a folded dollar bill. At first glance, it seems insignificant, but in certain circles, that such a thing can carry some heavy implications. I guess it wouldn't be unexpected for mafia to leave a folded $1 bill.
It's like a
sign. Like
sign.
We were
Token.
here. Yeah, something. But the family was like, oh my gosh.
It was me.
Yeah. Which is weird. The cops would be like, perfect. We figured it out. But
yeah, but then you can just be like, oh, that's just a dollar bill someone left.
Right. The family was not for that. I guess he was known to carry like around like fat stacks of cash, never folded his dollar bills. I'm like, that's hilarious to me. Yeah. Like, he would never fold a dollar. But they're like, that is weird, because especially if he was planning on going buying a motorcycle potentially, he probably had more than a dollar bill on him.
Yeah.
And like you said, maybe he didn't have a credit card. But
you probably can't buy a motorcycle from a guy with a credit card back in the day.
Yeah, true. And so they were beside themselves thinking, like, this is an obvious sign from the mafia. And the authorities just didn't roll with it whatsoever. But I thought it was suspicious. I was like, yeah, I'm on board. He never folds his dollar bills. I'm with you guys.
Yeah.
But also sources vary on this detail. But also, evidently, there was 2 phones that were recovered. 2
phones?
One for the. Yeah. And according to Little Buffalo, neither were her dad's phone. They're like, we swear, like, these are silver. Our dad doesn't have like a silver flip phone.
That's weird.
And they recovered the 2 phones, but the investigators didn't look into it. They didn't say anything about it. They never found his actual phone. But on one of the phones, I guess, they had a voicemail. And so Little Buffalo listened to it, and it was supposedly from the woman. And it said, hey, I'm just checking up on you. Are you okay? And there was like 1 or 2 voicemails asking Jim if he's okay. And it was like after the time where he suspectedly died. Or had his like convulsions and seizures and stuff. And freaking this 15-year-old is a beast. She's like, I'm going to call this woman back. She calls the number that called, and she's like, hey, is this whatever? And she's like, hey, do you know my dad, like Buffalo Jim? And she's like, no, never heard of him. And I'm like, 1, you've heard of him. He's a local celebrity. 2, you left a voice message on this phone asking if Buffalo Jim's okay. And the lady hung up. So I was like, why?
Suspicious.
She's being sketchy.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to be involved in whatever. She supposedly was a stripper escort who may have been working at the Crazy Horse 2 Club.
That's crazy.
And severed all communications. Didn't want to be involved in the investigation.
Yeah.
But years have passed.
It kind of makes sense, though, because it's probably illegal.
Yeah, I mean.
So it's like, oh, I can't be known.
Yeah.
So.
But also, like, yeah, I guess that's true. But how sad. Like, I feel like anyone with a conscience, like, oh, this 15-year-old's calling me asking, like, what happened with her dad. If it was an accident, I feel like you'd be like, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, he was great. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know? Not be like, I don't know anything about him. Don't ever call me again. Or like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And so they never really did ever contact her again. And they were just left with more questions than answers. Years have passed at this point, and the death remains unanswered. And was it truly an accident, or was he silenced in a way to make him get rid of his lot and stuff? The folded dollar bill, the death threats, the mystery woman, the unexpected cocaine, and the rush to like, close the case, lack of investigation. And on top of that, Rick Rizzolo had been released from jail the day before Buffalo Jim passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and suspicions say that either he did, like he could have done it himself, or maybe it was like a welcome out of jail present from his guys or whatever. It seems very coincidental. He got out at that time. But individually, all these pieces could link to one thing or another. But I think with all the different suggested alleged evidence that they have, to me, it seems like this could have been way more than just an accidental death.
Yeah, same.
But despite the ruling of a natural death, conspiracy theories quickly emerged, with people suspecting Buffalo Jim had been silenced because he knew too much about the criminal activities in Las Vegas. His daughters had been pushing for further investigation, but the law enforcement did not pursue it as a homicide. And they have, and now it's like cold. I guess technically not because it's not an active case, but to the family it's been cold. No one's looking at it. It's been since 2008, so however many years that is.
Yeah.
But the family in their hearts, they still believe that it wasn't because of carelessness. Like, he had a cocaine past, but...
Wait, 2008?
Is when he passed.
Oh, they probably was credit cards then. I thought you said 1950.
Well, he was born in 1950.
Oh, okay.
You're like, wait a second. Yeah, and so... like, the daughters seem to still want to be pushing this case to be looked into. I think regardless if it's looked into or not, in their hearts, they believe that it was a mafia hit.
Yeah.
Since then, his oldest daughter, Jim's oldest daughter, went on to like run the company for a little bit, but it wasn't very long. I think it was like a couple months or so until the auto repair shop finally did shut down. And since then, I think the Gentleman Club is also shut down. I think the mafia no longer has as strong of a presence, hopefully, in Vegas to this day. I know they ran the show for a while, but in my humble opinion, after researching this, maybe I was biased because I was looking at all the details going into it being a mafia hit. But to me, it seemed like too many things were pointing at death threats and a lot of suspicion. And to me, Buffalo Jim kind of got in with the wrong crowd.
Yeah, probably. Allegedly.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a mafia, allegedly.
I think there's too many things to like be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
he just happened to be. He promised his daughter, "I'll be home before midnight," and like if you're gonna be home before midnight, you're not gonna be doing all those actions that led up to his death. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was the light of Vegas. He still has a great reputation of being just a fun, outgoing wrestling guy. I can't wait to post all those pictures and videos because he really was just like what was that commercial? This is so irrelevant. The commercial with, oh my gosh, who was like that cleaner guy who was like famous on commercials like back in our time watching TV? He was like always yelling at the TV.
Is Wow? Or the guy that's like...
I don't know. Dang it, I'm gonna have to find it because he was like the guy that was like he was like on some like cleaning commercial. But I always think of him. He's like, yeah, go in and get your cleaners today or whatever. And that's how I imagine Buffalo Jim. Just like he was always screaming, always just like the hype of the energy, so much energy. And so whether it was an accident or was a hit, regardless, he will like live on as a legacy in Vegas.
Yeah.
And that is the story of Buffalo Jim.
Wow.
What do you got going on this week? Anything?
Going to California with Tatum today for a couple of days because that's my vacation.
Woohoo! Vacation time.
And then I'm going to try to get the Super Bowl off because I'm supposed to work on the Super Bowl.
Oh, really?
I'm going to try to get someone to work for me. So
I didn't think about that. The 9th?
We'll see. Yep.
What day is the 9th?
Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday.
I probably work too. I gotta look at that. But anyways, well, sweet. Thanks for listening to my story.
Yeah, thank you, Allie. Do you have anything going on this week?
I'm just working the next few days. Hopefully I go back to Utah just Friday and Saturday, and then I'm back. So this month's schedule kind of stinks for me and Brett, but I think he's coming to town next week, and we'll be here for Valentine's Day and stuff.
Yeah, he's not loud. So.
Yeah, like actually you suck. Stay home. No. So hopefully we'll be in the same state eventually, but that's it. Just flying.
Cool.